President Trump announces a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, but all eyes are on the Middle East to see if it will hold. And Walmart is facing a $10 million fine over wire transfer scam allegations from the Federal Trade Commission.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News at noon.
Thank you for joining us for your 5 News at noon. I'm Morgan Wrigley here with Danny Cassidy, and it's another hot day out there, but you said that maybe some showers?
Yeah, maybe some showers to cool us off a little bit. Yeah, that trend of warm weather is continuing, and it certainly feels a little bit warmer than the temperature suggests. We'll show you what the current feels like is across the board. 90s at least across the area. You see some triple digits there in the River Valley, 100 in Ozark, 101 in Clarksville, 102 in Boonville. So again, not necessarily the worst heat we've ever seen, but definitely quite toasty out there to say the least. But hopefully we'll see maybe some rain to cool us off, because thankfully any rain we do see is not expected to be severe. It'll stay below severe criteria, but could contain some heavy rain at times. We have a lot of moisture to tap into, so anything that is able to develop could definitely contain that heavy rain. So I think about 1 to 2 p.m. we'll start to see it develop out there. We already have the puffy cumulus clouds. Those puffy cumulus clouds will contain those raindrops, and maybe could see them through the evening hours, and then shortly after sunset it'll taper off, and then it'll really dissipate. Same thing with River Valley. Temperatures themselves will be in the mid-90s for highs. Could eclipse 100 degrees. Already is eclipsing 100 degrees in some areas. So again, just be safe out there in the heat. Now our rain chances, similar deal for tomorrow. It's going to be dry during the morning, and then maybe a couple of spotty showers during the afternoon. Thursday, I think we remain dry, and then Friday through Sunday, same deal, just a little bit more on the isolated side. But we'll go deeper into those rain chances, as well as talk more about how long this heat will keep up in your full forecast. Morgan.
Thanks, Danny. Well, new at noon, it's day 2 of the trial of former Washington County Deputy Stephen Grindstaff, who faces manslaughter charges in the 2023 fatal shooting of Scotty Stacy during a traffic stop. This morning, several witnesses took the stand, including an Arkansas State Police special agent who wrote the affidavit, a forensic scientist who examined Stacy's wounds, and the passenger in Stacy's vehicle who described how Grindstaff treated her during the stop. Later witnesses included Washington County deputies and sheriffs who testified about Grindstaff's conduct on duty, saying Grindstaff is, quote, phenomenal and the kind of deputy supervisors wish they had 10 of. They also discussed how officers are trained to handle involuntary traffic stops. 5 News reporter Kayla Davis is in court today. She'll have updates all throughout the day right here on 5 News. Well, President Trump is urging Israel to uphold a fragile ceasefire the Trump administration helped broker between Israel and Iran. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
After announcing a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, President Trump used colorful language to express his frustration the two sides weren't following it.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
The president warning Israel not to drop any more bombs.
As soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel.
Ahead of the ceasefire,
there are some attacks right now. We can hear them.
Israeli defense forces say they struck targets in Tehran, killing hundreds of security forces. Iran then fired back with missile strikes that killed 4 citizens in Beersheba. After speaking with reporters and taking off from the White House, President Trump called Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and then posted on social media, Israel is not going to attack Iran. The ceasefire is in effect.
I wouldn't be prepared to write this truce off just yet.
Retired General Frank McKenzie, the former head of Central Command, said the U.S. is working to learn more about the impact of its weekend airstrikes on Iran's nuclear program.
We'll know in the days and weeks ahead if the Iranians were able to evacuate material before the strike.
Despite the ceasefire, troops in the region are still on alert. This morning, the U.S. aircraft carrier, the Gerald Ford, left Virginia on a scheduled deployment to the Mediterranean, becoming the 3rd carrier group in the region. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump told the press traveling with him to the NATO meeting in Europe that he is not pushing for a regime change in Iran, despite apparently suggesting that in a social media post over the weekend. Well, California Senator Sasha Renee Perez has announced a new bill aimed at banning vigilante-style immigration enforcement. It would also stop the use of bounty hunters in the state. The No Vigilantes Act responds to recent federal immigration raids across Southern California, where ICE agents reportedly wore masks and refused to identify themselves. Senator Perez says the bill would protect communities by preventing unauthorized individuals from acting as bounty hunters during immigration enforcement.
It would authorize law enforcement to request identification from someone claiming to be law enforcement if there is reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, such as impersonating a peace officer, kidnapping, or a valid safety concern. And it would prohibit bounty hunters from engaging in any form of immigration enforcement. SB 805.
The legislation now moves forward for consideration in the state Senate. And Walmart is facing a $10 million fine over wire transfer scam allegations from the Federal Trade Commission. The report accuses the biggest retailer in the world of, quote, turning a blind eye on scammers who allegedly used the in-store wire transfer service to defraud U.S. residents out of hundreds of millions of dollars. In addition to the fine, the order prohibits the company from allowing money transfers without stronger fraud prevention measures. Well, nearly 3 weeks after a 15-year-old girl in Saline County was killed by a pack of dogs, some are calling for the county to add more resources for animal control. The county judge held a town hall at Benton High School on Monday. Currently, there are not many resources in the county for humane societies, and animal control resources have run thin for decades. At the town hall, many asked for ordinance to crack down on spay and neuter laws. Another resident brought up the idea of a task force to handle animal control.
That would be one thing I would like to see, is the collaboration of every single municipality in the county to come together to form a task force so that they can address this.
It is worth noting, in 2008, voters in Saline County rejected a tax that would have built an animal shelter. Still, those who spoke last night say they fear if something isn't done soon, another attack could happen. Well, a big step forward for the Sebastian County Library. Construction is underway now on a new building that would bring more room, more resources, and more ways to connect with the community. The around $6 million project would span 10,000 square feet, doubling the size of the current library, designed with accessibility in mind. And the new building will feature study rooms, a dedicated teen space, a community room, and separate areas for children and adults. It'll also come with outdoor spaces for story time, a seed library, and outdoor book club. Off Highway 71 and Center Street in Greenwood, Library Director Renee Myers says the new location will help the library serve the whole community.
We are a county library, so this makes it more accessible to our Hackett patrons, our Bonanza patrons, our Mansfield, Richardville, Huntington. They'll all be more than likely coming in, outside of Greenwood or maybe Fort Smith for work, doctor's appointments, shopping, and just on their way in or they're on their way out, they'll be able to swing in, swing out, and be on their way.
Construction is expected to be completed by September of next year. As Northwest Arkansas continues to grow, transportation officials are asking for public input on new ways to connect the region. A new study could lead to major changes in how people get around. The Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Commission is conducting a transit alternative study to explore new transit options like light rail, fixed rail, and bus rapid transit. The goal is to better connect cities like Bentonville, Springdale, and Fayetteville while improving access to jobs, schools, and health care. Officials are asking residents to fill out a public survey by the end of June. Ozark Regional Transit, one of the few providers in the area, says regional growth is outpacing the current service.
We're trying to outpace that, which is impossible, honestly, but we're trying. So that means putting more vehicles on the road to cover a greater area, to have more frequency, to make it more convenient, but also different types of models on the roads.
The transit alternative study will wrap by the end of this year. If you want to offer your input, you can find a link to the study on our website, 5newsonline.com, and it's open until June 30th. Well, with summer officially here, more people will be spending time on the water, but the Corps of Engineers is warning the presence of E. coli has forced it to temporarily close down 7 swimming beaches in Arkansas. Brooke Buckner explains how state agencies are working to get the lakes back open.
It's outside of our control in terms of opening it or closing it.
Bobby Kelly with the city of Conway says there's a process to make sure this beach is safe enough to swim in, and unfortunately, these birds are to blame for the closure.
The Canadian geese and the ducks that are out here, in addition to the heat, has made this a swim beach. I don't know how to put it.
Dirty.
Dirty and inaccessible for folks that do like to cool off.
If we have high E. coli counts, I would say 80% of the time it's because of geese.
Dr. Richard McMullen says it's only natural and a lot of rain can make it worse.
Recent rain, it probably washed their feces into the water.
That's why the Department of Health tests the water multiple times a year.
We monitor a minimum of 3 times a year during the swim season, and if they have high E. coli counts, we close them. And that's important because E. coli can make people sick.
In the meantime, ADH continues to retest the water.
In order to open it, we need 2 consecutive samples that meet the standard.
Now, Kelly and McMullen hope to have the beaches open in time for the 4th of July. Brooke Buckner, 5 News.